the owner of All Family Pharmacy. Michael Kuenzler joins us once again live here. Michael, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Definitely. Let's look at one of those articles that we've both been talking about out there, the NPR article, line that reads, ivermectin takes off among cancer patients. Can you talk to us about, first of all, when you saw that, were you kind of like, well, I mean, ivermectin is one of those powerful medications?
Yeah, absolutely. For ages, we haven't been able to really have these conversations, because our regulators don't like us as a pharmacy talking about off-label use. They want guidance, they want safety, they want effectiveness. I mean, ivermectin won the Nobel Prize for efficacy, decades ago. And so it's unfortunate that they don't even allow us to talk about a drug that's as safe as ivermectin and as effective as ivermectin is and has been, for decades now to come. And millions of people around the world have taken it. It has a very safe profile. It works great with other medications. It actually does a enhancing effect from what we understand when it comes to this type of stuff. So, the one knockout is a blood thinner. You don't want to enhance a blood thinner, and that's for specific reasons. But there are two that are on the market. But because I'm not a physician, they don't want me to talk about that. We'd rather you submit it and have that conversation with our doctors on what's safe for you. But talking about ivermectin in general and its off-label use for cancer is tremendous. There are thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people currently utilizing this as an off-label treatment around the world. I know this because I've joined a lot of the Facebook groups, read about it on social media. I work with one of the #1 doctors right now who has generated over 100 protocols for cancer, and that's Dr. William Makis. And he's been a pivotal physician in this fight against cancer and using ivermectin not as a standalone, but in conjunction with your immuno or chemo or radiation. So these are some interesting things, and NPR is now talking about.
Yeah, exactly. So you see the NPR is talking about it, but obviously we are too here at Right Side Broadcasting Network because what we've been talking about here when we talk about All Family Pharmacy is that the National Cancer Institute has launched that early stage lab research to study how it works in the body, including how it may interact with cancer cells. So as we've been telling viewers, it's not a treatment recommendation, it's early stage research, but it does highlight how medications, to your point earlier, that were once pushed to the sidelines are now being studied by these major institutions.
Yeah, and with the NCI jumping in and the NIH, that is a big organization as part of this, a branch that is humongous within our industry. We get a lot of data from the NIH and the NCI when it comes to looking at off-label use medications or, FDA-approved medications, and where we can get strict data from, because they house a lot of data that our pharmacists as well as our physicians utilize for their own research. So they're joining the fight. They want to see what's going on. And the reason they want to see it is because, like I said before, there are thousands. It's probably close to the millions now, and individuals that are interested in looking at ivermectin, mebendazole, and then even the fenbendazole, which, that's the Joe Tippins drug from, I think it was like 8 years ago. He's a famous individual now who was one of the first to use fenbendazole to fight and beat cancer. It wasn't just a standalone with fenbendazole. It was a collection of other immunotherapies, other drugs that are in trials as well. But yeah, it's great to see the national light on it. We've been talking about it. If people have watched this show for over a year now, they've heard us numerous times try to explain certain bits of information because, like I said, our regulators require us not to talk about off-label use when we're on these platforms, when we're on podcasts. It's like they want us to hide it. We're not going to hide it. We're going to try to talk about it, but in a safe and effective manner. And for those who want to try it, we're open to having a conversation, to guiding you in the right direction. That's what they should be more concerned about, is allowing the physicians to guide these individuals. Because if they don't allow the physicians and the pharmacists to guide them, they're going to go on Facebook and they're going to ask some random person across the side of the world for a treatment protocol, and they probably will get hurt by utilizing a treatment protocol because they're probably going to use too high of a dose. They're going to mix it with a medication that might not counteract well with them. Something's going to happen. So why not just put it in the hands of the physicians and the pharmacists like you do with every other drug?
Exactly, and you have that there with All Family Pharmacy. Licensed physicians review the order, of course, and then if applicable, they will then approve that and send the medication straight to anybody's door that is ordering. Let's talk about ivermectin. There's a word and a number that I haven't used together in a long time, COVID-19. After COVID-19, we saw, hey, ivermectin, man, this is something that crushes that crappy disease. So now it looks like it's something, again, being used by a lot of people. Is that why ivermectin got that extra boost of purchasing because of COVID-19? Or has it, I'm not a doctor either, I don't know. So has ivermectin been that kind of drug that has been something that people have used over decades, but it really highlighted with COVID-19?
Yeah, absolutely. When 2020 hit, 2021 hit, they started doing a lot more research on ivermectin, and they found a lot of this data based on different countries who use ivermectin on a monthly basis because they don't have government entities like we do with the USDA, where they're protecting our meats, they're protecting our beefs. Those countries don't have that. So they have to take anti-parasites because of the quality of meat that they have over there, as well as refrigeration. There's a couple different instances, right? That's where it started. They started seeing a lot of data based on COVID. They introduced it here. People started taking it for COVID. We started our business because we opened our doors to individuals who were looking for ivermectin. We had no idea about it. We were like, yeah, what's wrong with prescribing a drug off label? It's used in 20 to 25% of prescriptions nowadays. There's nothing illegal about it. Let's have a conversation. This is perfectly legal. And so everybody was scared of the regulators. And most of those were those blue state regulators who didn't care about ivermectin and whether it will or will not help somebody. They just cared about striking down license for pharmacists and doctors. It was kind of, sickening to watch. But in Florida, they did not do that. They did not announce that they were going to do that. They were okay with us allowing, because they ultimately they trust their pharmacists and they trust the physicians within the state to guide their patients in a safe and effective manner, right? And that's how it should be. Because if you don't do it, they're going to go on the black market and they're going to do it. And then they're going to get hurt. So that's the instances. So COVID started everything. And we built a business during COVID because there was so much success with the drug. And now we're starting to see the properties, the anti-cancer properties, mebendazole with anti-tumor properties. I mean, this is data and research that's out there. This doesn't exist because I'm saying it. It's actually out there. And if you do your research, you will find it in places like the NIH, the National Institution of Health, or the NCI, the National Cancer Institution. And these are entities that will provide this information to the everyday people like us. We just have to go out there and find it.
And speaking of getting some answers to questions, if someone has a number of questions and say they want to work with All Family Pharmacy, they want to order the emergency kits you have and just want to plan with you guys, is there a live chat or is there a phone number, or do they go online, email? Is there any questions that they can get answered via the website, or is it simply they'll fill out the medical form and then they either get the approval or not from the doctor? How does the inside baseball work at All Family Pharmacy with that?
Yeah, so inside the All Family Pharmacy, it's traditionally email, phone call. You can go on the website. We don't have a lot of chat. And the reason for that is the regulators do not want our patients to start sending in random questions and having staff members who are not providers to be answering some of these medical questions. And as a pharmacy, we don't want that at all as well. We'd rather you speak with a pharmacist. We'd rather you speak with a physician to kind of go over that information. It's safe, it's effective, and it's also encrypted. And so we don't want any of that HIPAA or medical information to get out there through a chat bot, through an email, whether it's Gmail or Yahoo. So when these conversations take place, we prefer them either over the phone. You can utilize email if you choose that route. But specifically over the phone or when you schedule a consultation with the physician, those are the best and safe and secure ways for you to have a conversation with ourselves as well as our staff.
Awesome to see that. And then finally, the emergency kits. Can you go over some of those kits out there? I know you have the flu kit, but is there a COVID kit, or can you talk to us about all the ones you have? I know you have first aid, all of these kits out there.
Yeah, so we're not allowed to have a COVID kit. Right. We've had this conversation numerous times. They didn't even like the fact that we had a flu kit. But the flu is the real thing. The symptoms are all the same. Most people get, 50 to 60, sometimes even more percentage of the symptoms that the flu has. And it's not fun. People are knocked out for 5 to 10 days, and that's not fun. So, putting together that flu kit, I really enjoyed because I knew that it would give people the ability to get out of bed within a day or so. And it would help them daily activities fighting those symptoms. But the fact that the regulators don't even want us to have any of that stuff anymore is, it kind of shows you who they are and what they're trying to do. And the fact that if we were even allowed to have a COVID-19 kit, it just shows you, it just proves to you, because we would, obviously the number one drug would probably be ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, and we'd have some rescue inhalers, some nebulizers, stuff for, inflammation or inflammation of the lungs, cough and sore throat, cough syrup, stuff like that. So we would have all that together if we could. So what we could do, essentially going around it, is creating a custom kit over the phone, speaking to one of our representatives who will give you the key medications to request from the doctor prior to placing your order, and then kind of just creating a custom kit based on, what your needs are. And if it's COVID-19, we can do that. We know the drugs, we know it helps, we know it works. Let us customly do it. And sometimes it ends up being a lot cheaper. A lot of our competitors put 9 antibiotics in a kit, just tell you to buy it for $300. What are 9 antibiotics going to do for you? It's probably not that much.
That's pretty wild. I totally forgot about the customization kits that you guys have. I know about the flu kit and emergency kits, first aid, but that is pretty cool that you guys can just, talk on the phone with someone and get the specific things taken care of. And then once approved with that doctor, get that shipped to the door. So Michael Kuenzler, thank you so much for joining us, the owner of All Family Pharmacy. Again, it's allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. And I'm sure, I know there's an RSBN 10 promo code out there for 10% off. You guys, with the President's Day sale, I mean, wasn't it, I know it's not now the 47% off, but you guys always have these different good sales for people too, to help save some money.
Yeah, we try to be creative with our sales, but at the same time, we try to make them so that they can help individuals all around America, whether their income is low or their income is high, save money, stock up on medications, and just be prepared. Ultimately, it's about being prepared. And every individual in America should be prepared. We're stepping into, seasonal allergies, travel season, it's spring break. We have different medications for that. We have allergy medications. So every 3 months, we step into a new season. It's a new time to bulk up on different medications that you may or may not need based on your lifestyle. But, you can hear it in my mouth, in my nose. I'm starting to get my allergies. It's March. It's Florida. Things are starting to come out of the ground again. So this is generally when I get sick, and that's when I start to supply myself with my own medications.
All Family Pharmacy owner Michael Kuenzler, thanks again for joining us from the Sunshine State in Florida. We'll see you again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.